Here's your guys' homework on coterminal angles and reference angles. Highly suggest you guys do take a look at the lecture video because this is a concept that is very, very new, and it's really good if you guys do take a look at the lecture so that you have a better understanding of what are coterminal angles and reference angles and the terminology, because there's a new vocab words you guys have to know as well. Okay, so this one says find a positive and negative coterminal angle to the given angle. So basically, this is what we call the positive x-axis, and you go to a terminal side. So this is the terminal side because that's where the angle ends up. It ends on that terminal side. Now, in order to find a positive and a negative coterminal angle, so basically, if terminal side, you guys, means where the angle ends, then when it says coterminal angle, that means the prefix co means you're trying to find another partner that also ends at that angle. So right here, you have to find one positive and one negative. So in order to get back to this spot again, you have to add by you have to keep on adding by 360, or to get to this part, you have to subtract by 360. So for this first problem, in order to get back to that point, you have to just add 210 degrees by 360. And that will be 570 degrees. So if you add 360 to this, then it will get you back to this spot again. And just to give you guys, or just to demonstrate like that visually, if you went 360 all the way around, you would be right back to that point, right? Right back to that side. And that makes sense because 360, you guys, is a whole complete circle. So you can add by 360, or what you guys could have done is you get to this part and then you can also subtract by 360. So if you subtract by 360, that is this direction going clockwise, and you would be right back to that terminal side. So 210 degrees minus 360 would be negative 150 degrees. And remember, you always start from the x-axis, because right from here, negative 150 degrees is right there. Okay, number 2. So we know it's 300 degrees. So that means to get another positive coterminal angle, we should just add 360 to 300. And we get 660 degrees. And then if we subtract 300 degrees by 360, we would get back to that part, which would be negative 60 degrees. So what this means is, right, you go back negative 60 and you would get to that point, or or you can start, remember you always start from here, or you could go 660 degrees and you would recognize you get back to there. Just some visual for you guys on that. Okay, number 3. So again, have to find a positive and a negative coterminal angle. So we would have to add by 60 to add 360. And we would need to subtract 360 from 60. So 420 degrees and negative 300 degrees. For number 4, 150 degrees. So in order to get back to that same spot the positive way, you need to add by 360, so it'd be 510 degrees. And then to get a negative coterminal angle, 150 degrees minus 360. And that will give you negative 210 degrees. Number 5. Okay, so we're given negative 135 degrees. Remember, going negative is going clockwise from the positive x-axis. So that's negative. Now, in order to find a positive coterminal angle, we should just add that by 360. And we would get 225 degrees. And now, if we were to find another coterminal angle, we would need to subtract 135 by 360. And we would get negative 495 degrees. Number 6. So negative 315 degrees. Remember, clockwise is negative. Now we need to find two angles that are coterminal, meaning they both end up at that exact location. So let's find the positive one out first. So negative 315 degrees plus 360. That's 45 degrees. And then to get the another negative coterminal angle, let's just subtract it by 360. So that's going to be negative 675 degrees. Number 7. So we start off with negative 30 degrees. So to get another coterminal angle, let's add by 360. So you get 330 degrees. And to get another negative coterminal angle, let's subtract by 360, which is going to be negative 390 degrees. And then last one, number 8, negative 210 degrees. To get a positive one, let's add by 360 to get another coterminal angle, and that's going to be 150 degrees. And let's get a negative one, so negative 210 degrees minus 360 degrees to get negative 570 degrees. Again, finding these are not that challenging, but understanding what is happening, that's the challenge, which is highly recommended why you guys go look over the lecture. Alright, now let's talk about a reference angle. So the reference angle is pretty much the angle formed by the x-axis and a terminal side. So let's take a look at number 9. Here's the x-axis, and here's the terminal side. So that means you're trying to find this angle measurement right there. So this is the angle measurement. Now, you have to determine what that angle measurement is. Well, you know from here to there it's 210. So if this amount is half a circle, which is 180, then that means this amount's going to be 30 degrees. If this is 180, then this other amount should be 30, because 30 plus 180 is 210. Number 10, again, to find a reference angle, right? It's the angle formed by the x-axis and the terminal side. So that means you're trying to find this angle right there. So we're trying to find this angle. So let's take a look. You already know all of this is 300 degrees. So that just means this amount right here must be the amount needed in order to form a whole circle. Do you guys see how this would be a whole circle, right? So if this is 300, then that means that small amount must be 60 degrees. Again, the reference angle is the angle that's formed by the x-axis and the terminal side. 11. Okay, this one's a trick question because this is a x-axis, right? And here's the terminal side. So it's asking you, well then, what's that angle form? And it's right there in front of you. It is 60. So this theta is 60 degrees. 12. X-axis, terminal side. So the angle formed by there is that one. So here's the theta. So, well, what is that? Well, you know a whole half circle is 180, so if this amount gives you 150, that means this amount must give you, well, what plus 150 gives you 180? 30 degrees. Okay, 13. Okay, so there's the terminal side. There's the x-axis. The angle formed by the terminal side and the x-axis is right there. So you gotta find, so this is your reference angle. Now what is that? Well, if this is 180, right? So that's negative 135. So then your reference angle must be, okay, 135 plus what would give us 180, and that's 45. So put your reference angle as positive, you guys. So this is going to be 45. Even though that says negative 135 degrees, keep your reference angles as positive. Unless they specify not to. 14. So terminal side, x-axis. So this is the angle we're trying to find. So how much is that? Well, if this is negative 315 degrees, then what added to 315 degrees will give you 360. Because, right, this whole thing would be a whole circle. And that would be 45. So this is going to be 45 degrees. 15. X-axis, terminal side. What is this angle measurement? Well, it pretty much tells you. But remember, we want it to be positive. So this theta, you guys, is going to be about 30 degrees. Again, we want our reference angles for our classroom to be positive. And lastly, 16. The angle formed by the x-axis and the terminal side is right there. So how much is that angle? Well, this is 180, so what plus 180 will give us 210, and that's 30. So this is going to be 30 degrees. So that's your guys' homework on coterminal and reference angle. Again, all of this is going to add up to be something really big for us, so make sure you guys get this, okay? All right, peace.